Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.
It came up on Twitter a while ago when people first saw Trey Lance throw the ball, or Niner fans, it's like, oh, his motion's too long, his stroke is too long, or it looks funky, or it looks like there's a hitch within his motion, and people wanted to be critical of it, and it doesn't look conventional, so people associate with, okay, this is how quick Jimmy releases. He hits all the points from like a mechanical standpoint. He hits all the points. The one thing, and I have a ball right here, like the one reason he doesn't look, or like it might look funky to other people, is like most people hold the ball right here, right? And when they go back, they'll push it straight back, or they'll get it straight back, and they get like this equal opposite look here, okay? Or some people will get that arm straight across the chest and kind of stabilize the spine, keep the front shoulder closed a little bit longer. The only thing that Trey Lance does different is he'll hold the ball here in the carriage, right? So this is what we call the ball carriage. He'll hold the ball here in the carriage, and then from here, instead of going straight back, what he does, he'll lift it up. So instead of setting the wrist, so we'll keep the elbow and the wrist tied together, or the elbow and the point of the ball tied together. And I have a Cardinals ball. Shout out to my guy Keyshawn Johnson here. So I got the Cardinals ball. But what he'll do, instead of just going from here straight back, he'll set it here. So he'll lift it up in the carriage, and then he'll go straight back. And all this is doing from here to lifting it up and going straight back, that's throwing people off.
So he has a wasted movement that people aren't used to really seeing.
Yeah, probably wasted if you would. It's a timing mechanism. Some people pat the ball right, and you go pat the ball back and then go straight back with it. That's a timing mechanism. All Trey Lance does is he'll get ready to throw it, and he'll lift it up for a second, and then he'll go away. But he'll set the wrist and the point of the ball. Instead of keeping it here, he'll just do this. And now the wrist is already set, and he'll take it back straight there. So instead of going from here to here, all he does is go from here to here. And he lifts the ball up slightly when he does it, and it's just a timing mechanism. But who doesn't understand mechanics, they might say, oh, he throws funky. It's not funky. All he's doing is just setting the ball up and then going straight back with it.
I hear a lot of people say he has like a elongated release or something like that. But I remember you telling me if it's quick, it doesn't matter if it's long. It's the long, slow releases, right? Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit for everybody?
It's like I said, so think about it, it looks longer. So from here, this path from here to here is shorter than this path from here to here, right? He's getting to the same spot from here to here, or from here to here. He's getting to the same spot, but because he lifts it up, it'll get a little bit longer. But he has quick hands. He's got a quick release. He's firing the ball. It's not this thing where it's dropping it way down and then it's a slow release like the Tim Tebow type of thing from back in the day. Or
that's what somebody put in the comments too. He said like a Tim Tebow wind up.
So Tim Tebow's wind up. Tim Tebow was here and then he was way down, and his arm speed was a little bit slower. Trey Lance just lifts it. All he does is set the ball sooner. He'll lift it, set the ball sooner, and then it makes it look longer. But at the same time, he's in sequence. Like when his front foot's on the ground, that ball's kind of right here around that flat L position. He fires the hips. He's got quick hands. It's not that it just looks a little bit longer, appears to be a little bit longer, because he'll lift it up in the carriage and set the ball sooner. But again, it goes back to, like, there's a fine line. Like I know Quincy and Sean have obviously worked with him. If that's how somebody throws the ball naturally, and they've done it to this point, and it's got him to the NFL, why would we try and make a change now at this point? If he's thrown well his whole life, why? And maybe at some point or another, he won't do this anymore, right? He'll just change it from here to here. But he's gotten this far doing that. So why would a quarterback coach try and harp on those things as a kid's going into rookie camp? Right, or going into his first training camp? Like, he throws the ball fine. When the ball comes out of his hand, it's fine. Just some people are so critical of how it gets there, right? So from here to here, they don't like how it gets from here to here. That's it.
Right.
And that's what makes it look weird to some people, or it looks a little bit hitchy, if you would. But overall, the efficiencies are there. I mean, he throws the ball really well. His timing seems to be very solid within his sequencing. He fires the hips well. Sometimes he gets a little bit long with his front stride, but a lot of quarterbacks do that. It's a super common thing. So what he's doing is not super out of the ordinary. And I don't think it's something that needs to be worked on every day in practice because he's done well up to this point. So to overcoach it, I think everybody would be a little bit crazy to overcoach the way he holds the ball in the carriage and how he lifts it up and goes back down with it.
I was listening to KBR, and it was Steve Young, and he was talking about just that, right? Where everybody thinks that you're supposed to throw a certain way. And he even thought that. He said, he saw Dan Marino throw the ball, and he's like, that's how it's supposed to look. Like, that's how it's supposed to look. That's how my release is supposed to be. So he started trying to change who he was, with his mechanics and his throwing motion. And he wanted his throwing motion to look like Dan Marino's because he assumed, like, well, this is the guy throwing for 50 touchdowns. This is the guy that's throwing the ball all around. Like, he has a pure throwing motion. That's what it's supposed to look like. But he quickly learned that, nah, man, like, you be you and just learn on perfecting that. Now, I do the same thing with defensive backs, right? There are some people that are natural T-steppers, right? And there are some people that are natural bicycle steps. But you'll see this big discussion amongst defensive back coaches that are like, oh, no, it's T-step. Like, that, I'm team T-step. Or something like, oh, no, you get that T-step out of here, road runner. You're going to lock your hip, blah, blah. And my thing is, I got out of my T-step as fast as anyone ever. Like I put my T-step and me exploding out of that break up against any break. And I did that using the T-step. So I'm not going to put down a bicycle or anything else that anybody else does. I think is, how can we get you to be as efficient as possible within the natural motion of what it is that you currently have?
Right.
Now, if you're doing something from a standpoint of, I think a lot of people with their back pedal stuff, it's a lot of times you'll see guys T-step wrong, right? Like, they'll T-step and open up their shoulders and their hips and lean back, then try to go for it. Like, no, we can't do that. So I can teach you the proper way to T-step. Is that something similar with a quarterback where, hey, we can have you still do some of the things that you naturally do, but now let's work on kind of maybe not bringing it back as far, or are there some certain things you can do to work on that?
Yeah, there is, but at the same time, like you said, like, you've done the T-steps well, right? So it got you up to that point. You got you to the NFL, okay? And there's more efficient ways maybe to do it, or there's maybe a more efficient way within the T-step to do it. So, like, there is more efficient ways within the throwing motion to get the ball out quicker. Like, Jimmy has a quick release. He doesn't lift the ball up and do that. But Trey Lance, what Trey Lance makes up for those things is because he does lift the ball up, where he goes here and then goes back. Maybe it takes longer here, but he'll make up for it with the velocity that he has on the football. So in essence, it's probably going to get there at the same time as somebody who might have a quick release or a little bit quicker release or even faster. And I've always told people that. Like, I had a longer baseball release. Like, I would go a little bit lower, obviously, and I still do go a little bit lower. Even, like, I don't teach it that way to go low, but I just naturally, from throwing like that for so long, I do go a little bit lower. But I always told people, like, hey, I'll make up for it with my arm talent and the ability to actually throw the ball and get it out quickly with my hands. So, and the velocity on the football thereafter. So I think you got to take what people do well. And this is for guys that are at his level or college or late high school, like college and NFL guys. You got to take what they do well and run with it and, like, refine the little things along the way. It can't just be this whole restructure, because then you're going to screw somebody up. They've thrown like that for 10 plus, 12 plus years, 13, whatever it may be, however many years they've played football. And if thrown like that, you got to take what they do well and try and maximize the efficiency from there instead of completely rebuilding and reshaping mechanics. Right.
And that reminds me of, I don't see anybody talking about anything that Patrick Mahomes does, right? From his, and nothing he does is like conventional. I feel like, from throwing the ball. He drops it below his waist. He got one hand out here. He flicks it, sidearm. There's all these things. And it's like, nobody ever says anything about that because it works.
Because it works, right? And that's the thing. If it wasn't working, then we'd be having a discussion of, like, okay, Pat Mahomes does this and this, and it looks too wild, or he doesn't ever set his feet like this. Like Aaron Rodgers, watch Aaron Rodgers throw. Like, he throws off platform a lot. He throws off platform sometimes when he doesn't even have to, where he can't he doesn't put his feet underneath him, or he'll do like that little pop step.
Yeah, I've seen him with like both feet off the ground.
Yeah, he'll do that pop step, or he'll throw both feet off the ground. But when you look at his upper half, like, he'll get his shoulder closed, and when he releases it, He'll keep this off arm a little bit more closed off, and it keeps the front shoulder closed longer, and he creates torque with the upper half. Like some of those things you can teach, obviously, and we can rep it over and over. But some of the things Aaron Rodgers does at the end of the day, or Mahomes, or Josh, or whatever it may be, it's like things you can't teach. It's like those are the natural abilities that just like you're watching the game with your friends, and you look at your buddies like, what the hell did he just do? Like, oh my God, I can't believe he just made that throw. It worked. But if you want to get the couch quarterbacks or the quarterback coaches that want to actually criticize it, well, this is what he could have done better. Like, no. Like, if you won a Super Bowl throwing the ball from down here and then it was just loopy motion, why would I sit here and try and change that motion? Like, in my opinion, like people did that with Tim Tebow. Some people love him. Some people hate him. I don't know why people hate him. But his throwing motion worked. Like, in college, it was a little bit slower. Right. And yes, he was playing with elite athletes. It was down low, way down here. And then he'd come around. But the dude threw like 88 touchdowns, 16 interceptions in the SEC.
Right.
And then his whole focus through draft prep was changing his mechanics. It's like, yeah, let's try and refine some of those things. But like, I think the whole changing of his mechanics overall eventually screwed him up. And it made him worse than he was in college. And people were so critical of it. But it's like, dude, he got that far throwing the way he did. Let's just see what it looks like in the NFL. Why do we need to go change it? That's just my opinion. Like it wasn't the most efficient or the quickest throwing release, but the dude got it done. Like that's what happened. We talked about who's going to play on the field with Jimmy G and Trey Lance. Like at the end of the day, it's the dude that gets it done. Kyle Shanahan doesn't care if Jimmy Garoppolo can get the ball from here to here quicker, but he's throwing interceptions, or he can't move the ball down the field. He can't score in the red zone. Like, if a guy can freaking drop back and kick the damn ball down the field better than he can throw it, well, then so be it. That's the person that's going to play. It's whoever's winning games and moving the ball at the end of the day. That's what it's going to be. All the other stuff it's fun stuff to talk about from, the quarterback coaching world or the analyst world or whatever it may be. But if a dude gets it done, that stuff is all fluff anyways.
Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.